Obviously, being in the position that I've been in, I've gotten to see a lot of partnerships go wrong. Even people who are partners for long periods of time. Where just life, circumstances change and
Mhm.
priorities change, um, and that can be difficult, which is all the more reason why you don't want to rush in um, to those partnerships because it's a lot like a marriage.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why? Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Andrew Longcore. Andrew has worked with hundreds of businesses and entrepreneurs on their corporate development strategy and implementation. His experiences range from working with solopreneurs to publicly traded companies in many industries. Um, Andrew, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to spoil anything. I love to let the guests tell their story. But first,
Yeah,
I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for taking the time out. I really appreciate it.
yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. And Jason, I got to say before we jump in on it, we obviously met a few weeks ago. You were given a keynote speech, and the technical difficulties that you had to experience and the way you were able to handle that with such grace was I was amazed by it. So I'm honored to be here in your presence and somebody who can handle those types of situations. I don't know if it's the surgeon background or what, but that even keel,
Yeah,
it
no,
was amazing.
I appreciate that very much. Hopefully, we won't have any technical issues today. I've hit record. We seem to be on track with Wi-Fi, so yeah, hopefully nothing like that comes up today. But I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words, um, and I'm excited to kind of have you on and hear your story. Tell us, or let the listeners hear your story. Tell us your background. We'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. So yeah, really, I graduated from law school, came out and was starting the attorney dream. Uh, Quickly found out that I didn't like being in a law firm, so I went out and started my own practice. Started the business law group, still going strong with that. We focus on primarily business transactions, financial transactions, which spills over into real estate development, mergers and acquisitions, capital raise, all those fun things. And really from there, working on hundreds of different types of transactions, you meet really great entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and you learn a lot of how they do things. And so that led me into my consulting practice, which because I was getting so many questions that were not necessarily related to the legal side of the transaction, it was, you know, where do we go out to find capital to be able to make this deal happen? And so it was started to become a need that was, at least from the client standpoint, they needed. And so to be able to help them. And so really we've been able to develop, at least from me personally, uh, different types of transactions, really from soup to nuts, from the strategy and why we're doing it, all the way through the end of closing and the integration or implementation side of it. So the whole spectrum.
Yeah, and it's for sure that that is a need. So it's great to have someone like yourself who's sort of filling that space because I think one of the in the syndication space, there's sort of the different slots that everybody fits in, right? It's like acquisitions, there's asset management, capital raise, kind of underwriting. There's sort of the ones that people typically list, but one that I think is so important is sort of that the coordinator, the person who kind of brings it all together and having and I think there's lots of people that want to get into real estate and maybe don't know how to do that part of it, don't even realize as you get in. Certainly I didn't realize when I started syndicating how much of it was just going to be kind of like being the conductor of an orchestra and, making sure the pieces fit in at the right time and come together. So having that as a consulting service makes a ton of sense to me. And I'm sure, even not just within real estate, but within other businesses and mergers and acquisitions, that, as you said, there's just so much that goes into the process itself. And coming into that as an attorney and being able to tie in the legal components of it, and it's like, here's the process, also, by the way, don't do this so you don't go to jail, kind of thing. there's a there's a ability to kind of put that all together. So I think it makes sense. And I'm always fascinated by how that sort of transition came about. Like, obviously you saw a need, but what did that look like for you, kind of, as you're working in your legal practice? How did you develop that into a business and a consulting agency?
Yeah, well, I think you're 100% right in that um, a lot of people have, or at least they've got a desire to get into it. Maybe they have certain skill sets that fit into it. Again, from the business side, you see a lot of operators that have decided, well, I want to acquire a business, or they've got an existing business and they're good at operating it, but not necessarily like the actual development and growth of the business as an asset. In the real estate game, I'm sure you see the same thing, where somebody who says, well, I know how to rehab houses and I want to flip them, but I don't, how do I do that? How does, is it really possible? I've got to have, I want to buy $100,000 house. I need to have $100,000 cash, right? And so they really, again, they've got a certain portion of the skill set necessary to do these types of transactions and make these types of investments. And so they would come to me with, hey, I've got this deal. I've got this, piece of real estate that I want to buy. I want to develop. One client that comes to mind in particular in the real estate space was he was buying low income houses, and and basically flipping them. Right, he'd go in and fix them up, but his issue that he was running into was just how to structure all of that, because his initial purchases were done individually, and so he was trying to clean up a lot of that stuff. But he also wasn't able to grow his credit with the banks to be able to go out and do larger. So basically, he was either going to be acquiring houses that were under $50,000 for the rest of his life, and just have this track record of continually, rolling cash forward.
Yeah.
But with a desire he wanted, and so being able to organize that to where we had, one central, um, business that was, basically the firm, and then to individualize each one of those transactions. So the one developed this longer track record that he could then go to the banking institutions and show, this is what I'm able to do. And he was able to then have this infrastructure, and we got really complicated with it. Probably more complicated than necessary, but that's a whole other story about trying to use retirement fund and not get taxed on the use of them, and all that stuff. But again, that was all birthed a lot, some of that was birthed out of the legal side and understanding the organizational side of it. But then again, being able to build up credit and track record and stuff, that was outside of really what is necessarily what I consider legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
And but obviously it was important to him, and it's been able to, I haven't done a lot of legal work for him in a long time because we basically set him up in this process that he's been running with, and last time I checked in, he was quite successful with it. So it was really kind of a natural thing of just those questions coming out of, everything from sourcing deals, negotiating deals, and it's things that I was able to either participate in, or I was able to witness clients do those various aspects, and then to be able to centralize them and truly kind of fill in that quarterback, or fill in the specific gaps that they needed to be filled. And again, we're still doing that today, for our clients.
Yeah, and I guess, to me, what it sounds like is, it's like you're helping people take a skill or a trade or something like that and turn it into a business. And the example of sort of that house flipper, someone who, as you said, like someone who knows construction, right? Maybe they've worked in construction a long time and now they want to make that into something big, but not knowing how to take those steps and kind of scale without essentially just drowning yourself in 100-hour work weeks. I think is incredibly important to people that are people that are trying to do that, people that are trying to develop those businesses. So having that, and then being a connector, right? And so if you have through your dealings in your law practice and in businesses and all that, like you have these people that are good at one thing and someone else who needs that skill and vice versa, and being able to bring them together. Like I said, I think it's an incredibly valuable process to provide. What do you, this is, I don't mean this in like a negative way, but kind of what is in it for you? Like, what do you, obviously I assume you get paid for these services, but how does that impact you in your own personal growth and in business development?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, yes, I get paid, and I get paid well for what I do, because there's a lot of value that we add.
Yeah.
And we have clients that sit there and they, they're perfectly happy, stroking those checks to me, and my wife is happy that we're able to, pay our bills at the end of the day too because of that. But the other side of that is, I obviously I do I'm a big relationship guy, and so being able to meet people and talk to people and participate in deals, or even just be somebody that they can brainstorm with. What am I not seeing here? Why has this been sitting on the market for this long? Is great, but it also brings other opportunities as far as being able to participate in my own investments, whether that is taking on equity in a business, or becoming a partner in a real estate transaction, or anything like that. And it's a lot of potential investment. I consider all those investments that don't necessarily come up a lot for I think a lot of other attorneys or consultants that are purely just trying to sell time for money. Again, being that holistic is again, it's more of a, and we really, I refer to all of my clients as partners because of that. It's truly a partnership. I'm not an order taker, so it's not like, Jason, you can come to me and say, Andrew, I need this, buy and sell agreement, and I need these syndication documents, and they need to say this. It's truly a collaboration of, you're telling me what type of a deal you have. I'm going to bring my expertise to it. If there's holes that need to get filled in, we'll fill those in. But it's really just trying to make sure that we can make a good deal happen. Because there's a lot of, and I'm sure it's stuff that you can tell, stories and stories and stories upon when it comes to real estate type transactions of bad deals, deals that in theory were going to work out, but there was certain aspects or things that were missed. And I can tell the same thing on the business side of transactions where, in theory, on paper, it looked good, but there were certain things that were missed throughout that process to make sure that it ended up being a good deal. And really, that's not good for anybody when, we have good deals gone bad, if you will. And so really trying to make good deals happen is really kind of that driving force.
Yeah. And I think what you said is, I guess, is exactly what I was getting at. I think your people deserve to get paid for their time. That makes total sense. It's not really about that. What I love what you said is, sort of those, it opens up the door to opportunities, because that's a thing. And I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's like, when you talk to like real estate brokers, commercial brokers, people in the industry, and I often ask them, like, oh, so like, do you invest in these deals? What, and a lot of them don't. And I'm kind of like, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like you're there with access to like frontline knowledge of what's going on. And I think, I suppose in some scenarios there are a potential conflict of interest, but being able to make these connections, have all of this network that you do through your business, as you said, like allows you to open up the opportunities and partner in these deals and sort of grow your own personal portfolio. So I think that is mainly what I was getting at there, and because I think that there's two sides to the coin, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you can get paid straight out for your services, but in a lot of instances, getting some level of equity in a particular deal or something like that might even be better than that in the long run.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting just because it's a bit like we've all dealt with salesmen and somebody trying to sell us a product or a service, and if you ask them, would you buy this or do you use this? And if they turned around and said, well, no, I don't, or I
Right.
would never use this, it's like,
Right.
well, then why are you trying to sell it to me?
Yeah.
You-
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, and that applies, I think, in the real estate space. Like, there's a lot of, I think, particularly in social media, there's a lot of like, invest in real estate without using any money. Well, that
Mhm.
always means you're using someone else's money. And if the someone else is an investor and you wouldn't put your own money in that deal, you probably shouldn't take investors on to put their money in that deal either, right? So it's kind of like that's how I feel about it with our real estate deals. Like I always invest in them, and if I'm not investing in them, then we're not talking about it, because it's like, why would I bring to you a deal that I don't believe in investing in? Like, it doesn't, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And it's kind of like, this is a funny I guess analogy, but in in my veterinary career, like one of the most common questions I get from clients, like talking to them about a surgery, we're having a consult, and they'll say, well, what would you do if it was your dog? And it's like, I would only tell you what I would do if it was my dog. Like, I wouldn't,
Mhm.
I
Right.
don't I'm not trying to tell you something that I don't believe in. And I get the question, I understand where it comes from, but I think the idea is, if you're a business owner with integrity, like in general, you should be, if you're talking about these transactions, these business deals, real estate, whatever it is, it should be something you believe in. It's not just to get a sale. So I think that's I think an important point, and an important probably component of your ability to have growth doing this, right? People are going to come to you with these questions because they trust your opinion and believe that you'll give them an honest answer.
Yeah, well, and I think both with it seems like with any type of investment, whether it's publicly traded markets or real estate or in businesses, um, there are certain people out there that are, you know, we'll call them unscrupulous.
Yeah.
um, and I guess in my opinion, I hope that they develop that reputation rather quickly, and then
Right.
they kind of get weeded out of the game. But really, it's I always am trying. In fact, probably one of the classes I struggled with most in law school was the ethics class because I was too ethical. And so when it was a question of, can you do this? I'd be like, no, you can't do that. And they'd be like, well, technically you can. And I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
and so it's really, yeah, you're right. If it's a deal, especially if it's a deal that I've sourced and I'm bringing it to potential investors, like I'm in it. It's not a situation where I'm, just trying to raise money and make, or, do it off the backs of somebody else. And you see, yeah, you obviously you see lots of in the real estate game, and in the mergers and acquisitions arena, lots of people who um, again, they like the idea of making the money. They don't want to do the work. They don't really, it's, but you give me all your money, let me go out and buy something. If it works out, it'll be great. We'll all make, billions and billions of dollars. Well, it, yeah, maybe.
Right.
you
Right.
know it's it's one of those things that again, it's I think there's, again, you've got to develop partnerships, and there's got to be that trust in those relationships. And again, that takes time, and a lot of people aren't willing to put that time in. Um, I've got one guy that we're working on trying to find a deal that we can work on together, but we've known each other for 10 years, and this has finally gotten around to the point where we said, hey, maybe we should work together. We do have some
Right.
complementary skills. It seems like it would make a lot of sense, but it wasn't like we met day one and we said, yeah, let's go do it. You be the operator, I'll be the guy in the back building it, and it'll be fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point in terms of, the partnerships. And you said earlier that you consider all of your clients partners and look at them that way, which I think is fantastic. Your The importance of partnerships in real estate and business and things like that is just, it's so key, because a good partnership, a good partner can make a deal fantastic, right? It can, good partnership can change, your base hit deal to a home run, but
Mm-hmm.
you can, a bad partnership, to continue with the baseball analogy, can get you tagged out, sort of not paying attention, standing on base, right? So it's just kind of, there's a huge amount of value that's created by sort of combining people that have complementary skill sets and work well together and share common values. And that when you just cobble together a partnership for the sake of having a deal happen, it's not likely to be nearly as successful. So I think those are and that those people might be successful on their own or with other partners. It's just a matter of kind of what, with the people that you're specifically working with, it makes a big difference.
Right. And obviously, being in the position that I've been in, I've gotten to see a lot of partnerships go wrong. Even people who are partners for long periods of time. Where just life, circumstances change and
Mm-hmm.
priorities change, um, and that can be difficult, which is all the more reason why you don't want to rush in um, to those partnerships, because it's a lot like a marriage. It's all fun and games on the front side when everything's exciting and new and there's so much potential. But when times get hard, this is somebody who's going to be standing beside you in the battle. And you know this is somebody who's going to stand by your side and be there. And just like a marriage, it's really hard to unwind it in a way that, again, isn't everybody taking a big hit. um, and so obviously, you can put agreements in place and you can do all this planning, but it's, again, finding that how to put it, that, again, finding that good complement to you, that good fit in there, and understanding that somebody you can work with, because, again, like I said, there's going to be things that are going to come up. It's going to be some good things, and there's going to be some bad things,
Yeah.
and those have the tendency to be when people start to fight and really start to conflict. And obviously, as if you've got to run some type of fire sale on a portfolio of properties because the partnership is breaking up, you're probably not going to get the returns that was expected. It's going to be bitter. There's going to be somebody out there running around going, well, Jason, he's a pain in the butt to work with, never be a partner with him. And it's like, whereas if it would have, we would have planned for things ahead of time and been on the same page, and like you said, maybe not even have done the deal, that we would have been better off because we would have still had that relationship. And there's always other deals that we can go out and do.
Exactly. The people use that marriage analogy a lot, I think, in terms of partnerships, but I think it's like a marriage with kids, because even if you break it up, break up the partnership, the business partnership, if you have a business or real estate together, it's still there, right? It's still, there's still something, there's still some after effect, and other you know people are impacted by it. So it's kind of it is an important thing to be aware of, kind of the repercussions if something does go wrong. So but again, a good partnership can be huge, can make all the difference in the world. You can, there's plenty of businesses that have thrived with their partners. So I think it's just being upfront and honest, and taking, as you said, like taking the time to find that person or those people that you're going to do a deal with, kind of in not rushing into it. So I think it's a really important component to it. Well, Andrew, I want to make sure I get the chance to ask you the questions I ask every guest.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is, of course, based on the name of the show being Know Your Why. What is your why? What's driving you? You've been successful attorney. You're now a consultant and doing, sort of having continued growth. What drives you?
Well, I think the overall arching why, and I'm going to answer it in two parts, just so you're prepared.
That's
uh, the,
totally
the
fine.
the the overarching why is my family. I have been extremely blessed with the opportunities that I've had in front of me, um, and I want to make sure that my family has similar type opportunities, if not better opportunities, to be able to pursue whatever they want and whatever their passion is. And so, obviously, being able to make sure that I can give them, those lives is important to me. Um, but really, for I guess the why for obviously that I could do that in any type of vehicle that I would choose to. So why do I choose to do what I do? Um, I love the game. I it's truly, obviously Simon Sinek wrote the book Infinite Game, and it really is this infinite game, whether it's real estate investing or businesses, or it's obviously it was going on before you and I were born. It's going to go on well after we die, and so to be able to participate in this game um, is is a privilege. But I love being able to work through the strategy, um, all the different aspects of it, the complexities, and as an infinite game. Even if I fall on my face, I know I can pick myself back up and jump right back into the game and start playing again. Obviously, there's work to rebuild all of what I lost in that, but at the same time, it's not like it goes away. And so, just again, being able to play a game, be a player in the game, is why I do what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. The I'm a big Alex Hermosi fan, and one of the quotes that he said something, I'm not going to get it exactly right, I'm sure, but he talked about essentially your your goal is the middle, right? Your goal, like so many people think about winning is getting to the finish line, whatever that sort of mythical finish line is. But he's like, in the things that are important, the middle is what's important. Focus on the middle, like marriage, right? Like you're not trying to get to the end of a marriage, right? The whole
Right.
point of a marriage is to stay married and have it be a good relationship for the long term. Same thing in a business. Like, yes, maybe you might have an exit strategy for the business, like, but the idea is in the game of business to stay in business, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just that's how it is. So it's just kind of um so many times we look at things as like, what is that, how do I get to the finish line? But really, I think if you focus on enjoying that middle, or enjoying the process, if you will, that I think it just makes a ton of sense. So it's like, as you said, it's like, all right, well, just because you fall down, it's not over. The game's still going on. Just get back in, and kind of pick yourself up and get back to it. So
Yeah.
I love that reference.
Well, and that's I mean, it's funny, and you've put it so well too. Which the thing that struck me is I just recently turned 40, and my wife was like, "Oh, well, we should celebrate," and I was like, "I'm I'm not big on my birthday in the first place," but I was like, you know what? no. And she's like, well, why are you like that? Why do you, you don't want to celebrate your birthdays? And, I didn't walk at my graduation. I didn't attend, since high school graduation, I didn't attend my college graduation or my law school graduation. And it was like, but you put it right. It's not, that wasn't the finish line. 40 years old, my birthday, that's not the finish line.
Yeah.
I'm still going. I still got lots of stuff to do. And so, every, exit, every successful, whatever we've done, yeah, you celebrate a little bit, but at the same time, you still got to wake up, the next day. And again, in looking at it as the infinite game, um, I got to wake up the next day and find another deal that I got to work on now. So,
Right. Right. Yeah. You don't want to be done at 40. Like,
right,
you
right.
don't want the game to end then, right? It's like, so yeah, uh, and yes, it's great to celebrate wins. Like, I don't think either of us is saying that, but I think that the point is you don't really necessarily want to just stop, right? There's not,
Yeah,
that's not how, and that's not how most, I think, entrepreneurs and business people are wired. They're not looking to find the end. They're in it because they enjoy it. They enjoy doing it, and they enjoy finding new ways to have success. So I think it's more about, that, exactly that, the game. Andrew, tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge, special skill, a hobby, something to let listeners know you a little bit better.
yeah. Well, there's probably a few things. You wouldn't know it by my waistline, but I do like to wake up every morning and run. Um, I also like to eat, which is
Yeah, they go
um,
together.
right. But I guess in the theme of the game, I'm a big sports fan. Um, that's not really, that's probably pretty common knowledge. Um, big baseball fan. Just because of a lot of the strategy that's involved in the game, and in fact, we saw this year they actually adjusted the rules because of teams were, able to over strategize and put all the players on this side of the field because that's the only side of the field he hits the ball.
Right, right.
But one thing that I used to be a big video game guy. I don't have the time to do it now, but I still am a mobile gamer. I will have games. I just had to find games that fit with my schedule where I could play them when I had 10 minutes here and 20 minutes here, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm still in satisfying that video game side of me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, find the games that don't detract from everything else you're trying to accomplish, but sometimes you have a little time to pass, and it's nice to have something to
Yeah,
do that with.
I can't dedicate the half day marathon sessions I did when I was
Right.
in
Right.
college, but
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
still getting a little bit of a taste of it
Yeah.
to keep that
That's
that the juices flowing.
that's how I feel about watching football now. Like, I used to watch
Hmm.
Thursday night, all day Sunday, Monday, like all of it. Now it's like I try to watch some. I watch some. Like, that's it. Like, I'll watch maybe even a part of a game, not necessarily a whole game. That I grew up in Boston, so the Pats are my team, but like, they're not on the TV very much here in LA. And I used to get NFL Sunday Ticket, and I'm just like, I wasn't watching it enough to make it
Right.
worth it. So yeah, I watch when I can. I try to see what I can, but yeah, it's definitely just your priorities change, as your life changes. Uh, Andrew, when people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
So as far as being able to see content, I put out a lot of content on LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn. Andrew Longcore is my handle there. It's a great place to connect with me. Obviously, you can message me through LinkedIn, or see my content. If anybody wants to, talk about acquiring a business, or they've got a business that they want to be able to grow and scale, love to talk to them. They can email me, andrew@cecilsterling.com. Um, and yeah, those are probably the best ways.
Okay, and we'll put those in the show notes.
Okay.
Final question for you. What is a piece of advice you would give to someone who is starting out? And you can take that, I guess, kind of in whatever direction you want, but maybe, along the lines of, they want to get into business ownership or real estate ownership, something along those lines that you would tell them Encourage, but also maybe protect them from making mistakes, given your background.
Yeah, somebody just starting out, I'd recommend partnering with somebody. Really, there's two common themes that you see to a lot of success stories. There's either I started out just doing it and I made a ton of mistakes, running into walls, but I was able to finally figure some things out, and it all came together, right? The other side of that coin, it seems to be like, well, I was working for so and so, and then I split off and did my own thing, or I got a mentor and he taught me how to do that. It's really that, and again, that partnership, um, because again, and we already kind of touched on it. Like a lot of people bring certain skills to the table, skills that are valuable, and so to be able to find somebody to partner with that knows what you're trying to do, has already been down that path, and being able to walk alongside them, actually doing it and learning, this is how they do this, this is how they do this, this is how they do this. Um, I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine just the other day, who he's got a great course on making getting your first acquisition under your belt, like how to go from figuring out what you want to buy, all the way through close or being able to get it under LOI. And it was one of the things that we talked about. He goes, I have so many students that I talk to that they just it's like pulling teeth to get them to actually do the steps. And I said to him, I said, it seems like those are people who really need to partner with somebody who likes to do the acquisition side of it, and they just need to come in and provide their marketing skills or whatever to be
Yeah.
able to expand it and grow as part of the investment side. And he was like, you know what, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. That they just they want to be able to do X in the deal,
Mm-hmm.
when
Yeah.
there's A through A through Y
Yeah.
leading up
Yeah.
to X that needs to get done. And so yeah, being able to find somebody, and again, this is not a new concept. I mean, probably one of the greatest investors of you know ever is Warren Buffett. And when he graduated from Columbia Law School, he had to beg and plead with Ben Graham to be able to let him join his firm, and even offering to work for free. And Ben Graham, going, no, it's going to cost me to be able to
Yeah.
teach you. But
Yeah.
eventually was able to talk his way into that, and then develop himself into, but again, being able to partner with Ben Graham to be able to learn alongside him is, I think, really what was able to get him on that track to becoming what he was. And so, yeah, that would be what I would tell everybody, would be find that partner who can fill the gaps in and just learn everything you can from them. Um, and and that's really what I would just say for the people I partner with. My goal is for them to either realize that they don't want to do the stuff I do, or that they learn it and they go off and are able to do it on their own. I'm more than happy to train people to be able to run on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think um, importantly I think you're, again, you refer to your clients as partners. When you're saying partner, that could mean a mentor, that could mean a business. I mean, that just finding people that, sort of can teach you something, can to have that complementary skill set, whatever the case may be, finding them to, sort of work together on whatever it is. I think that's a huge point to, and it's funny because you mentioned the course, and your friend's course, and it immediately made me think, like, so many of the courses out there, like in real estate space, and it's like, we're going to teach you how to do everything. It's probably, honestly, like, when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's probably not the right way to do it. It's probably not the right way to teach everyone how to do everything, because it's not, because that's not how it ends up being, right? And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it gives you a taste and all that, and it helps you with the network and everything. But I think important when people are choosing, to join a course or a mastermind group or whatever, that it is, they really kind of identify what it is they want to get out of it. And if it's, you're trying to be a portion of a particular process or transaction or whatever it is, sort of making sure that program focuses on what you're trying to do. So I'm actually really glad you said that, because there's always something about those a lot of the courses that I didn't always feel right, but I think maybe that's it, that it's like it doesn't help you to learn absolutely everything. Like
Right.
you need to get really good at one or two of the components.
Right. No, and I hope, and again, his course is specifically, again, there's lots of mergers and acquisitions courses out there, and his course is in particular, again, it's really focused on, again, just those pre-LOI steps that, again, a lot of them breeze over, because a lot of them will sit there and say, and I'm sure that you see it in the real estate course, well, you find an asset that you like, you get it under LOI, and then you go do this to fund it, and then you increase the revenue, or the ROI, and oh well, magically now we've got a great, you're making millions now, right? It's like,
and poof,
well,
you're a millionaire. Good job.
Yeah, you skipped all the steps about how do I know it's a good
yeah, exactly. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show today, sharing all of your story with us, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for taking the time out.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks listening, I know you're going to love this episode. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can get more great guests like Andrew. And thank you all for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?